Hello, and welcome to the Connectedness podcast. Just as you might have guessed, I talk about connection and connectedness on this podcast, our connection with everything in the world around us. Whether you see it or not, we're all connected, and it doesn't matter if it's our dog, our cat, our God, our body. And I'll also talk about some more abstract connections like our career or our land, our community, our emotions, your body. Life is all about connection, so the sooner we recognize that, the sooner we can have an easier, more meaningful life. I will talk about these connections through different lenses, things like synchronicities and coincidences, or just everyday little bits of magic and miracles that we usually dismiss. It's really important that we pay attention to all of this so we can live an easier, more meaningful life. So welcome to the show. I'm your host, Karen Cleveland. Welcome back, everyone. So glad to be back here doing a solo show again that is not part of a mini series. If you listen to my podcasts, to the episodes as they drop, you'll know that I've been doing a lot of mini series lately, safaris and manifestation and various things. But I wanted to talk today about coincidences. Now, I mentioned coincidences in my show description. It's what I want to talk about on the show. And to be honest, I haven't talked that much about it. I love talking about all the different forms of spirituality and how we can get in touch with our personal divine truth. So that's why I love having all the different guests and how we talk about connectedness and spiritual nature in different ways. But I want to talk a bit about coincidence. I have been involved in a coincidence community lately, because I was interviewing someone for the podcast whose episode hasn't dropped yet, but we were talking about, she writes about coincidences, she studies it, and then she dropped a name, and I found out there's this whole world of people out there that are investigating it, that are doing scientific studies, that are doing all kinds of research and investigating coincidences. And I love it. That's what I love to check out. One of the reasons I love coincidences is because what I think they mean, what I think is the background of a coincidence, is that it shows our connectedness of all life, of all things. To me, even though we might not know why a coincidence happened or what it's supposed to mean or anything like that, it shows that there is a connection behind the scenes and that we are all connected. And so when a coincidence happens, first of all, it's usually delightful, not always, but it's usually a delightful surprise to have something show up just as you're thinking about it, or something works out, which is completely unexpected, but exactly what you wanted. Sometimes, even though they have no meaning for us, maybe we run into a person, maybe there's a coincidence, it involves another person, maybe it has meaning to them, and maybe it's not for us, maybe it's not about us, maybe it's for someone or something else that we don't even know about. It's like when we get delayed going somewhere. So maybe you get stopped at every single stoplight on your way to work. Maybe there's a reason that you don't know behind that. Maybe the reason you couldn't find your car keys when you tried to leave for work in the morning was because you needed to avoid an accident down the street. But we don't know that. We don't have those kind of insights. So we don't always know what we miss. And so, as I said, I want to kind of get back to talking about coincidences a little bit. And as I mentioned, I'm having guests in the near future on shows talking about coincidences. I really think this is how we understand that we are connected, that there is connectedness. The other thing that I believe about connectedness is that it is the framework for how the spiritual laws function. Let's take, for example, the law of balance, or the law of harmony, which can mean that if there is a product or service over here, if someone is offering something or creating something or has an idea to create something, that there's a person over here that needs it. They they need this. There can't be a product or service for sale if someone doesn't need it on the other end. So if you need something, if you're looking for something, somewhere there's someone either has created it or is creating it. And you can use this like also a person. Like if you're looking for a significant other, a partner in life, if you have that desire cannot go unmet. So somewhere else is the solution to the desire waiting to be put together. And I believe the connectedness is what allows these both to exist and to ultimately be brought together. So I think it's important that we talk about coincidences and synchronicities, maybe little miracles. Sometimes I mention miracles or magic. I think people don't talk about them enough. I think it's important to get these things out into the world so people start talking about them more. Because if they remain kind of a hidden thing, then the people that experience them are going to feel like they're weird. And that's not the case at all. It's perfectly normal. In fact, if you tell someone a coincidence story, chances are it will ignite something in their memory and perhaps they will tell you one as well. And so let's start talking about coincidences, about synchronicities, about all these experiences a little bit more. Coincidences can come in many forms. They can be a physical thing. You might call a coincidence like when one twin has something going on and its sibling miles or miles and miles away has the same symptom or feeling. And so there's definitely some physical coincidences I believe is possible because we are connected. We are all connected. But there's also coincidences that might not be physical, but maybe we thought of something and then something happened. So it appeared first in our head and then it outpictured into the world. Maybe even precognition sometimes. And it might be a dream. You might have dreamed something was going to happen and then something happened. And some people might call that deja vu, precognition. It's kind of variations of the same thing. I really want to invite you to come along as we talk more about coincidences. I want you to email me to get in touch with me if you want to be on the show, if you want to talk about some coincidences. So let me just tell you about one of my coincidences. And this might be a little more synchronous and then the coincidence happened. So all these things had to fall into line in order for this to happen. So let me just tell the story and then we'll talk about it a little bit. So I have a favorite band and this favorite band was they've been around many years at the point of this story. I think this story happened probably 15 years ago. I'm not even sure, 15, 20 years ago. They had already been around for quite a long time. And being a fan from the very beginning meant I knew a lot of their B-side songs and listened to every song on their albums. When you're a big fan of someone, you probably know the songs that you are your favorites are not the hits. You know that the hits are not their best songs at all. Anyways, so this band was coming to town. They were going to be part of a festival here in Seattle, Bumbershoot, where there's a bunch of artists playing. I don't know why I didn't buy tickets. I'm not sure what my thought was behind not buying tickets to Bumbershoot. Perhaps I didn't have the money, but I don't really know. But in addition to needing to get into the festival, you also had to buy tickets for the band. And several months before they started on tour, they had sent out to all their fans, hey, send us the 3 songs you want us to play on our tour. And so I selected, 3 songs and I sent them in. I don't remember what all the songs were at this point, but they were my favorites. They were not the hits. They were not their hits. So I send them the 3 songs. They come to Seattle. I don't have tickets. I don't know why, but I don't. But I decided I had to go anyway. So I went down to Seattle Center. If you're in Seattle, you know the Seattle Center. I went down and I thought about going into Bumbershoot. And I could see the line for the stadium before I actually went into Bumbershoot. And so I looked at it and I thought, I'm not even going to pay to get in. Never mind. I don't know why I came down here. So I walked around the corner of the stadium to the back because that's where I had parked. And I saw a line that was moving, a very small line, 1, 2 people wide. That was all. It wasn't a big crowd like in the festival side. And I thought, well, I'm gonna get in this line and see what happens because looks like they're going in the stadium. So I get in line. I don't know why they didn't check for a wristband when I entered the stadium. I was not talking to anyone, but I was close to other people who did have visible wristbands on, and they just let me in. So I got into the stadium, and we were some of the first ones in. They were some kind of premium or VIP, or I don't know what these people were, but I got in with them, and I was able to sit very far up. In fact, when I sat down, I thought, someone's gonna find me out. I just know someone's gonna find me out because I don't know if we're supposed to sit in special seats. I don't know anything about it, and they're gonna want to see my wristband. I know they are. But anyways, I sat down, I was very close. I was on, the side bleachers, but on the very side and the very front, so I was very close. No one ever checked anything, I was fine. So I was sitting there all night and loving having a good time watching the show. They played 2 of the songs, and, the 3rd song, I had been following the tour all along, and I was looking at their set lists of what they were playing every night. And I wasn't seeing this song come up at all. And I thought, "Oh, well, they're not gonna play my song." And what did they do? They played my song. They played it live, and they hadn't played it anywhere else. But then after they left Seattle, they continued to play it. So I don't know if there was a really good audience reaction that they continued to play it on tour, but, so I really felt like I was meant to be there. Now, was that life-changing? I don't know, maybe not. Was it a coincidence? Yeah. Was there synchronistic events that led to it? Yeah, of course. Is there a deeper meaning to it? I don't know. So I'm looking at it 10, 15 years later. It has meaning. I don't know if it has deep meaning, but it certainly felt good at the time. I was certainly glad I was there. The other thing, though, about this band is that they are a band that truly inspires me when I need to do something. So when I need to take action, when I need to connect to my divine self, and I need a little bit of help doing that sometimes, they're one of the bands. They're one of the artists that I play. So again, I don't know if maybe someone else needed to hear the song further down the line. Maybe there is something else going on. I don't know. You know, I'll never know, but I do know I wanted to be there and all these things fell into place and I was there. And that's not the first time that has happened. That there have been events that against all odds I've been in a certain place and then another event that eventually leads to a really interesting coincidence. And sometimes though I wonder, is that coincidence for someone else? Does it have a deeper meaning for someone else? Or is it just to spark some surprise, some fun, just the joy of life showing up for us? Because it can be that too. Maybe it's that too. I don't know. So let's talk about it more. All right. Let's talk about coincidences. Let's talk about connectedness. Let's talk about the synchronicities of life and everything that happens and why is it happening? Let's explore what's going on because I'm not trying to say I have the answers, but I think it's fun to explore because it can bring joy and delight into life when there's sometimes not much joy or delight. All right. Thank you for listening, watching, and look forward to exploring this more. I look forward to your feedback and hearing from you and hopefully having some of you on the show. Honestly, let me know. Come on to the show with me. I think it would be fantastic. So I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to head over to revkarenpodcast.com. That's REVKAREN podcast.com. There you're going to find the tools for finding more meaning and happiness in your own life. Plus, if you have a story that you want to share with me, either on or off the air, be sure to look for that form. Make sure you follow me so you get notified when new episodes drop. And also, I'd love to connect with you in my Facebook group, Connectedness with Rev Karen. So head over to revkarenpodcast.com. I hope to see you there.